Welcome to the Board of Chiropractic meeting on May 20th, 2026. We're gonna start by playing a short video.
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on, as well as their video cameras. Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
Subject to the availability of Olelo personnel, members of the public may also view the meeting by televised live broadcast on Olelo TV. If you need access to the internet or phone, instructions can also be found on the agenda.
Okay, if that's it, we'll call the meeting to order and we'll take a roll call. Where did I go here? Here we go. Okay. Those who are here, tell me you're here. Dr. Ogawa, I'll start with on the bottom.
I am here.
Okay, and Jean?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Can hear you. Okay, and Dr. Klein?
Okay.
Present.
Dr. Klein is present. And Teresa? Oh, no, wait. Oh, Teresa's here. Okay.
Yes.
And I am here. Okay, we have a quorum. We're ready to go.
Chair, if I may, I'll just note for the record, we just have a couple of minor corrections for today's agenda. We incorrectly cited HAR 16-115-11, so that should be disregarded for agenda item 1. And then for agenda item 6, the last line, new section 1676-45, we had a minor typo. It should be denial or withdrawal of application of program instead of denial or revocation of program. That's all. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, duly noted. Okay, second item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. I just kind of skimmed over them since I just got it. I didn't see any changes. Does anybody see any changes or corrections to the minutes of April 29th? Don't all speak at once.
No changes for me.
Okay, thank you. If there's no changes, I will make a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting. And just need a second.
I second the motion.
That's seconded by Jean. And Jean, you got to help me again. Your name says Jeannie, but is it Jean or Jeannie?
Either way is fine, but normally I go by Jean.
By Jean. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Did you just second it?
Yes.
Okay. So motion's been seconded. All those in favor say aye. Dr. Ogawa.
Aye.
Jean.
Aye.
Dr. Klein,
Aye.
Teresa,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Motion carries. Okay, application. Next item is applications for licensure. Ratifications of issued license. I just got to scream through this to get to them. Let's see. I think, where are they anyway? Oh, here we are. Okay, we have 4 people: Jack Song, Jacob Russell, James Emerson Watson, and Jill Chapman. I'll make a motion. We accept these licensees as licensed chiropractors. Do I have a second?
Rachel, I'll second.
Dr. Klein seconds it. All those in favor say aye. Dr.
Aye.
O'Dowd, Dr.
Aye.
Jean, Dr. Klein,
Aye.
Teresa,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Let's see. I gotta go back up here. Okay, now we're a ratification of CE courses. There's not a whole lot. Let me just look at those real quick. Okay. I'll make a motion. We accept the ratification of the CE courses. Do I have a second?
I second.
That was
Teresa.
Teresa. Thank you, Teresa. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Dr. Ogawa,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Dr. Klein,
Aye.
and Teresa,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Okay, motion carries. Very good. Okay. Now we're item 5, update on the 2026 ledge session.
Right, so
And
SB 2050 was passed by both chambers and is now been enrolled to the governor for his signature. It was passed unanimously by both chambers, and I don't see a reason for the governor to veto it. So I think at this point, everyone can just effectively assume it's going to become law. I believe the latest draft CD1 was distributed at the last meeting. I know it wasn't. Did you just send it out?
I'm gonna send it now. I'm gonna
Okay.
send it up now.
In case anyone wanted to take a look, Nancy's going to be sending it out now.
are there any changes to it?
No,
So basically, it's the same thing, just different draft, right?
same draft.
Yeah, same. I
Yeah,
mean,
so it's just a status update, really. But if any members had comments or wanted to discuss, that's of course up to the board.
okay. Well, if it's the same as what was handed out last time, that's only, 3 weeks ago. I don't imagine there was a whole lot of changes. It doesn't. I don't think it changes our requirement, though, right?
That's
We still
correct.
have
It
to-
doesn't change anything. It's the same as last time.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All righty. Anything else on agenda item 5? Okay, we're moving on. Now we're going to go over the admin rules that you just sent us with this packet. I see that.
Yes.
Let's go ahead.
Sure, thank you. So the latest version is attached to the agenda, as Chair noted. It should be called Draft 17, dated May 20th, 2026. If it does not say that on the front page, you're looking at the wrong version.
Okay.
I will, in the interest of time, I'm going to just go over the changes from last time, the new changes.
Perfect.
Great. Before I do get into these, though, I do want to just preface and remind the board about the scope of our roles. So as AGs, we're legal counsel, and we review and advise the board as to the legality of anything the board wishes to do, but we are not policymakers. So when it comes to drafting up new kinds of rules, what kind of rules you guys want, that's a policy decision. So typically the drafting comes from the board, usually with the assistance of a DCCA staff member. And that said, I recognize that the board's been working on this for years. You guys are on a bit of a time crunch, and Nancy is new, so I've made an exception. But I just wanted to reiterate that this is not the usual course of practice. So, I'm just asking, please don't expect this to be the norm, is all.
Well, I certainly appreciate your language because you got the legal beagle language down, right? So it's nice that we can kind of give you thoughts and ideas, and then you kind of run with it and come up with language, and we can just either accept it or not, or change it again. So I appreciate it myself. So
Thank you,
keep
Chair. So
on trucking.
usually what we'll do is you guys will propose language and then we'll, work with it and mold it to fit the legal requirements. So,
Perfect.
okay. All right. Thank you. Anyways, so first, I'll move on to the changes then. So the first changes begin with HAR 76-4 definitions. This is on page 76-5.
Okay.
And at any time, if I'm moving too fast, please feel free to stop me. So the two new changes are I added the definition of the term chiropractic student and direct supervision. So with chiropractic student, I took the definition straight from the statute, or the bill rather, SB 2050. But after further discussion with my supervisor, we actually suggest just taking it out. The reason being is that the issue with a rule copying the language from statutes is that statutes are subject to change every year by the legislature. So if the legislature should decide to change it some year, then you guys are left scrambling to try to fix that. So the term's already defined, so there's really no need for it to be repeated here.
Okay, so you're talking about taking out chiropractic means of, that first?
Just chiropractic student.
Okay, so you take out that first paragraph.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or second definite defined term. Yeah.
So it'll start with chiropractor means a person, blah, blah, blah. That's what that section will start with?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And then in terms of direct supervision, sorry, does someone else have a comment?
No, I think I did. No, we're good.
Okay. So next up is the term direct supervision. This was something that was specified in the statute, language that was used. In terms of the definition, I took this from the Board of Dentistry's rules because they also differentiate between direct supervision and general supervision. So basically, in layman's terms, direct supervision is the supervisor has to be there in the room and oversee everything. Whereas general supervision just means that they're somewhere in the office and can be called on. Since the statute provided for direct supervision, likewise, I've defined the term. The one part I wanted to check with the board, though, is that, so for dentistry, they use the word procedure, but the statute, SB 2050, uses clinical service. So I've changed the term and used clinical service for the purposes of the definition here.
Okay, Chris, can I interrupt you just for a second? When you quote the bill, when you quote 2050, SB 2050, can you tell us where that is in the bill, if you don't mind? And then we can kind of look at it.
Of course.
So I get so the first, we might as well just start. I guess the chiropractic student, I think, is defined on page 1, is it not, on the bill?
Chiropractic student is defined in page 3, actually. Page 3, lines 8 through 11.
Oh, there we go. Sure. Yeah. Got it. Okay, that looks good.
In terms of the word direct supervision, that's actually on page 2, line 1. The student is directly supervised by the supervising chiropractor.
Okay.
So that's why I opted to, or I suggest, you define the term what direct supervision means. And based on the last meeting minutes, it seems that we had some discussion about what that entails as well.
Yeah, and certainly everybody chime in. I want all your opinions. So I see that where it's directly supervised by the chiropractor. Then it goes on to say, must be licensed practice, blah, blah, blah. And it says, be physically present at the location where services are provided. It doesn't necessarily say they have to be in the same room as the patient.
So for the purposes of this definition, under direct supervision, the chiropractor remains in the chiropractor's office while the clinical services are being performed.
And where do you see that?
Oh, that's in the proposed rule language, 76-5.
Right.
Page 76-5, yeah.
Am I correct in the
also-
way in understanding that the way that it's written, the chiropractor needs to be on site, but they don't necessarily need to be in the treatment room?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
But it says direct supervision means that the supervising licensed chiropractor examines and diagnoses the condition to be treated, authorizes each clinical service, remains in the chiropractor's office, which is a general term, I guess, while the clinical services are being performed, and shall be responsible for all delegated acts and clinical services performed by the chiropractic student. So to me, it's almost like if he has to authorize each. Okay, so does this mean that the first visit, the chiro has to examine and diagnose the condition in addition to my guess would be the student at the time as well, right? So am I interpreting that right?
Yes.
Okay, so, but subsequent visits, it doesn't really address subsequent visits. Do they need to be in the room or just in the office?
Well, whenever the student chiropractor is practicing, they need to be directly supervised. So even with
In the room,
subsequent
it's in the room
visits,
itself, in the room with the patient and the student.
in the office, basically. I mean, we can tweak this language. It's really the board's
Oh,
call.
no, well, I just want to understand the language. And when you say direct supervision, didn't you say, quoting the dentist, that direct supervision means the supervising doctor and the student are in the same physical room together with the patient? Or am I
That's
not
kind of the
understanding that right?
yeah, that was my understanding of how they operate as well.
Oh, okay. So, okay. I guess this is something we just definitely need to talk about a little bit. I can see a number of ways. In fact, I was just at Mayo Clinic a couple weeks ago, and their teaching hospital, and how they work it is the resident comes in and takes your history, does an exam, comes up with diagnosis, and not the resident, the intern, and then they go out, and then the resident comes in and goes over your stuff and does a little brief thing that they think they need to do exam wise, and and then they are in the room together and they make the recommendations. That's how they work it. And I'll just do one more example and then leave it open to somebody else. In chiropractic school, there's what's called the senior clinic, where um, uh, senior chiropractic students are in the senior clinic seeing patients off the street under the supervision, or this is how I did it anyway. There's maybe different, under the supervision of a chiropractor who's in the building. And we would see the patients by ourselves, do their history exam, come up with a treatment plan, and then get the treatment before we can treat the actual treatment. We'd have to get it approved by the supervising chiropractor, who never really goes in the room with you unless you want them to. And that's another way of doing that as well. Dr. Klein and Dr. Ogawa, I'd like your input on that stuff, if you have input.
Well, I think that you're right about the way that it's done in
School, but the intention of this is not to create a teaching clinic situation, right? It's to have a preceptor, presumably, and
But-
a student coming into an office. And I think certainly it could be this thing about the licensed chiropractor needing to be the one to examine and diagnose. I think it's reasonable for the student to do the exam procedures, but the chiropractor needs to, I would think, at some point see the patient so they can verify that the student's findings are accurate. right? In order
Right,
for them to
right.
be able to agree with the diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's reasonable the way it's written that the chiropractor is physically on site, but not necessarily in the treatment room. I think that's okay. But I think the verbiage, authorizing each clinical service, that doesn't mean that the student has to. I don't think the way I interpret that, I wouldn't think that the student needs to, get each, for example, each region of adjustment, authorized. It's that they're having authorized that the treatment plan for this person is going to be spinal manipulation, twice a week or whatever, and whatever other, myofascial, whatever else is in the treatment plan. But like that's authorizing each clinical service, right? That the doctor is giving their okay that that's the way we're going to treat this person.
Yeah, I think that's one way you could look at it in a sense of if, let's say but that first sentence though says the licensed chiropractor examines and diagnoses the condition to be treated. So that tells me that they want the supervising chiropractor in the room with the patient, examining and diagnosing the patient.
Well, no, but we're they. That's our language. And so like we can that didn't come directly from this bill, right? That's language that we
Right,
created.
right. That's what Chris came
So
up with, and so we can tweak it for
yeah,
sure.
we can tweak that. So if we don't feel that the doctor needs to be the one doing the exam, that's fine with me. But the question is then how, what verbiage should we use? So like, because I don't know. I think this is more sort of more detailed than is necessary, maybe. Like we could say direct supervision means that the supervising licensed chiropractor shall um, verify or sign off or whatever word we want to use on the diagnosis and treatment plan for the patient and authorize each clinical service and remain physically on site while services are rendered or something like that. Because,
So
I think what we're trying to avoid is somebody being off site and just signing off on whatever a student does,
for
right?
sure,
Letting a
that's
student
one thing for
practice in their
sure.
clinic without a license.
Right.
Yeah, and it is practicing without a license if they get to do it on their own. It's tricky. What does the law say, sir?
In terms of direct supervision or
Yeah, and also like treating the patient. I mean, isn't that practicing without a license?
so the term direct supervision isn't defined in SB 2050. It just provides certain conditions that the chiropractor be licensed to practice, is physically present, and retains full professional and legal responsibility for the care provided to the patient.
I see.
Right. So if you guys feel that direct supervision means that the chiropractor is standing in the room watching the adjustment, then that's what direct supervision means. But if direct supervision means that the chiropractor is on site in the clinic and available, but is not necessarily in the treatment room, then that's what direct supervision means. That's what we're trying to do is determine what this board thinks
Right.
that how that should be defined.
So, okay, let me throw this out. So do you feel that a patient comes in, they sign the consent, and then they go in the room and they agree to see a student, and the student goes in, does the exam, comes up with a treatment plan, and then before initiating treatment, gets that treatment plan approved by the supervising chiropractor. The other thing that I want to throw out too is so should the supervising chiropractor see the patient on the first visit and get an idea, or should they just rely strictly on the student and the student's communication with the supervising chiropractor?
Well, personally, I mean, I think it's reasonable to require the licensed person to at least interact with the patient and speak to the patient and verify, the
Right.
consent and all of that. But I think it's also reasonable for it to be up to the licensee the amount of,
Supervision?
well, the amount of, they're the one responsible. And so if
Right.
they don't supervise closely enough on that initial visit and the student gets the diagnosis wrong and they don't do anything to notice, that's going to be on them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like I don't think that the doctor needs to be the one doing the exam, but I do think the doctor
I-
should, see the patient. Like the doctor needs to be present and see the patient and interact with the patient. But I don't know how to phrase that.
yeah, so that would be on the first visit, or would it
Yeah, I think
also?
on the first visit. I
Okay,
mean, I think
so should we also have language in there for, let's say, a change of status? Let's say there's a change of status in the patient, or they haven't been there for a couple of years.
well, I think that the thing about the doctor authorizing or verifying the diagnosis is counts for change of status too, right? Because if they have a
Yeah,
change of diagnosis, then the doctor would also need to sign off on that.
assuming that the student documents it correctly. I'm sorry, I'm kind of jaded on that point. I've reviewed probably hundreds of thousands of pages of medical records, and golly, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, I mean,
yes,
I think ultimately that's the main thing here is that the licensee remains responsible. And so if the licensee doesn't monitor things appropriately, then they're putting their license at risk, right?
right, for sure, for sure. So, do you see taking out that first, where basically direct supervision means skipping that and just go right to authorizes each clinical service remains in the chiropractic office? And or should we still tweak that first part of that sentence before the comma? You know, do you know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
says right now it says is supervising chiro has to examine and diagnose the condition.
Well, Chair, and part of my ignorance because I really don't know anything about chiropractic, but in order to verify the diagnosis, wouldn't the chiropractor have to examine the patient or?
Well,
That-
it
That's it.
depends. Sorry,
Go ahead.
who's talking to you? I would just think it depends on
The service being
depends on the
provided.
condition, right? Because many conditions can be diagnosed, off of the history,
Mhm.
and the exam serves as verification. Um, but many very straightforward conditions can be diagnosed off of the history, which could be relayed to the doctor by the student, um, potentially. So, I mean, I think that it's reasonable for the doctor to be able to verify a diagnosis based on the findings that the student reports rather than on doing the exam themselves and needing to like repeat the exam and get the same results the student got or something like that. Um, but again, like if I was the supervising clinician, like I'm not going to just trust the student's results if it's something that I think is dangerous or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm going to go do
Yeah.
the exam myself and repeat what the student did or whatever. So it's
Is
on the licensee.
yeah, is that something that we just assume is going to happen? Or do we have to put words to it in our rules? That's, I guess, the question.
perhaps it could say something like
Supervising licensed chiropractor
maintains responsibility
for
thorough exam and diagnosis.
this or something like that.
Did you want to
So that
maybe
it's
just go with the verifies the diagnosis of the condition language then instead?
That's an idea. Must verify the diagnosis, but then what does that mean? does that mean just looking at the history and the exam without seeing the patient? Or does that mean, I mean, there's probably some leeway in there too, right?
I mean, is it very clear in what was passed? Is it very clear that there's the process for informing the person that they're seeing a student and getting their consent for that? Is that super clear?
Yep. It's on the bottom of page 2 under B.
Okay.
And it says, before providing services to a patient, a chiropractic student providing services pursuant to this section shall inform the patient that the care will be provided by the student and obtain written consent from the patient
Oh, right.
acknowledging that the patient has agreed to receive services from the chiropractic student. I mean, we could add in there that before providing whatever, the student, the supervising chiropractor should inform the patient along with the student, or do we just let the student tell them, oh, you're not seeing Dr. So somebody should tell the patient before they go in the room, I would think. No, especially if they're expecting to see Dr. Klein and they see, whoever.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I do remember that language now, but that's in the bill, right? We can't change that.
Right. And that's a good thing. They written consent. And it says the student is supposed to provide it.
Right. But I guess the reason I was asking about that is like, it seems like this issue of the doctor, verifying the diagnosis, like they should be, I don't know, verifying.
That should be part of being the supervising chiro, right? You would think.
Right.
Should go without saying in a sense.
Right.
But we don't know. I mean, there's all, I mean, wow.
What if it said overseas examination and diagnosis?
And what does that mean?
Well, and then so that's open to interpretation whether they're in the room or not, but it means that they're ultimately responsible for it.
Right. Yeah.
Because personally, I think it depends on the competency of the student, right? If you have a
Sure.
very competent student, it might be okay to let them do the exam alone.
Oh, for sure. And
right?
and you know who they are. I mean, before this even became an issue, I think let's see, when I was back in the day, I don't know, 40 years ago, 35 years ago, I probably had 5 students total over several years. And you can tell who are really good and who you needed to kind of, be on top of. But yeah, it's totally. So, it sounds like we kind of want to take out that the chiropractor is forced to examine and diagnose a condition.
I think maybe the language is overseas examination and diagnosis of the condition to be treated and authorizes each clinical service.
Which you could also say authorizes the
treatment plan.
The treatment plan, which is essentially what that is. Not every time they come in. It's just, okay, I want to see them twice a week for 3 weeks and do re-exam. Okay, cool.
Well, I think the reason it's phrased the way it is because, if say the doctor authorizes the treatment plan and it's a 4-week treatment plan, but at 2 weeks it needs to be changed.
Right.
You need to have it needs to be clear that the doctor needs to reauthorize it every time the student's going to treat the patient. It's not like the student can just continue because the treatment plan was authorized. You know what I mean? Initially.
Yeah.
I mean, not that would ever happen. I'm just saying I think that's the reason it's phrased this way.
Oh, it could. I mean, what if the student adjusts them and they come back and they're worse? Something like that. I mean, we've all had people that got sore after a manipulation.
Right.
So it's, it's anyway. But this is your language, Chris, isn't it?
Well, this is technically the dentistry board's language.
Oh, okay.
Right. Like I said, I copy pasted, except I just changed the term procedure to clinical services.
We can change clinical services to treatment plan, authorizes
Treatment plan?
the treatment
Sure.
plan arrived at by the student for the patient or something.
I think
like-
just the treatment plan.
Yeah, sorry. I get kind of wordy. So do we want to take out the examines and diagnosis the condition to be treated, right? We don't
Well, I
want to
think
say
we want to say supervising licensed
do-
chiropractor oversees examination and diagnosis, comma, authorizes the treatment
there you
plan,
go. There you go.
and shall be responsible for all delegated acts and clinical services performed by the chiropractic student.
Okay, that sounds good. Did you get that, Chris?
Sure.
Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
I'll just parrot it back just for safe measure. Oversees the examination and diagnosis of the condition to be treated, authorizes each treatment plan, and shall be responsible for all delegated acts and blah, 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 blah.
Perfect. I think that's good.
I think that's good. That's reasonable.
Okay. Sounds good.
So what about our other board members?
I think that sounds great.
I
Very
Okay.
impressive that he got all that. Mhm.
He's a lawyer.
He's
used
pretty
to take
great.
notes on a legal pad.
I don't know about that, but if
Every
the
lawyer I've
language,
dealt with they're scribbling, they're doing
He
shorthand.
deserves donuts if we ever had an in-person meeting. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I think Nancy and Courtney really deserve them. They've been working
Them
around
too,
the
yes.
And
If-
and Jeannie or Jean, sorry, or Teresa, you guys have any words of wisdom?
Oh, that sounds fine to me. You guys know
agree as
best.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the distance learning is whatever. The other thing I want to say is where's the 5-year thing? Is that
That's
later?
later on in another section. So
Okay,
we
I
will
wanted
work
to add
over there.
something. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, okay, cool. So I think we're good with this section. Is that right for everybody?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I guess I'm a little too eager.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. We appreciate your expertise for sure. Okay, so where are we going next?
Next, we're going to HAR 16-76-8, starting at page 76-6. This is educational requirements.
Whoa, wait. 76-6. Oh, okay. And what about it?
So
So
I,
we really just trimmed this down after talking with Dr. Klein and looking at the CCE's recommendations. It seems that they pretty much recommend a very bare bones provision. And given how these accreditation requirements can change, we just kept the first subsection A. We just made that the operative provision and deleted everything else. So as long as you're accredited by CCE or the USDOE, you're good. Because in terms of the credit hours, those can change, and those accrediting bodies can change it as they see fit instead of the board having to change their rules to keep up.
right. So
Got it.
We spoke about this like, I don't know, perhaps a year ago at a meeting, but essentially our requirements are already actually out of alignment with what the CCE requires as far as particular hours for different subject matter and that sort of thing. And
Sure.
so the CCE had approached us about updating this through me at
I
a
remember that,
SLB
yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that rings a bell.
And yeah, it does. I remember. I think he went to FCLB meeting and came out with that.
Exactly. Yeah. But
Yeah, I
basically,
remember
like there's been some states that have had issues with, particularly there was a lawsuit in Florida relating to this same kind of issue of the rules being out of alignment with CCE's requirements for accreditation.
Sure.
And so just I think just taking all this extra unnecessary stuff out leaves us with enough of a provision to still make sure it's a good school or a real school. So I think we're fine without all that other stuff. But what do you guys think?
Did the last sentence or so you said something about there's language in there that lets us do something as a board or check it? Is that
Oh,
what
I'm
you
just
said?
saying it still has that beginning that says that has to be CCE or DOE accredited.
Right.
And so
What can I do
that's
then?
covered, right? Because a school's not going to be accredited if the program is not up to the standards of the profession.
Right. And that's basically what we accept for licensure too, right?
Well, right, yeah. I mean,
And yeah, so we don't have to regurgitate all the other stuff. That's already, and yeah,
I just want to make sure you guys are comfortable with taking that stuff out. But I think it's appropriate.
uh, okay, I'm just reading this stuff. What the heck is this? Oh yeah, it's going through all the requirements. Ordered, performed, and integrated the data utilizing appropriate services from those listed above for ease of management and follow-up for a minimum of 10 different outpatients. Okay. Oh, yeah, we don't need that. What do you think, Elise? Dr.
No, I like it.
You like taking it out?
Yep.
Okay. I'm okay. Sounds good. Anybody else have any comments they want to make on that before we go on? All righty. Ball's in your court now, Chris.
Thank you. Moving on, next up is HAR 16-76-20, starting on page 76-12. This is license required to practice chiropractic, either as an individual or under supervision or in employment of a licensed chiropractor.
Okay.
This was amended to reflect SB 2050 so that students can practice that there's an exemption for students to practice under direct supervision of a licensed chiropractor.
Right.
Next up is right below HAR 16-76-20.1, practice and supervision of chiropractic students. This is the meat of the new provisions based on SB 2050.
Okay.
So starting with subsection A, a chiropractic student may only provide chiropractic services as approved by the supervising chiropractor. The language is really simple and broad. So, and I understand, Chair, that you had certain thoughts as well. So
no, not on that part.
okay. Well, on that note, though, I did wanted to ask to insert a clarifying amendment in that we just add the language beginning July 1st, 2028, because the provision in SB 2050 that allows students to start practicing kicks in July 1st, 2028. This is, if you look at SB 2050, this is on the second to the last page. So
Yeah.
page 4, section 4, this act shall take effect on July 1st, 2026, provided that section 1 shall take effect on July 1st, 2028.
What's section 1?
And section 1 is the whole part about chiropractic students being able to engage in clinical training involving the practice of chiropractic under direct supervision and so forth.
How can they do that before the law takes effect? That's an oxymoron, isn't it? I mean, if the act isn't in effect till 3000, okay, how does that work?
I think based on the conference committee, I think it was Representative Matayoshi who mentioned this, but basically I think the intent was to provide the board some time to come up with the rules.
Oh, okay. So they'll change it once it becomes law. That's it, right?
It is law. It's just students can't practice until July 1st, 2028, based on we had written this.
Okay, so okay.
And the statute, so the rule's just going to reflect that. It's just to mirror that, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, we want to be consistent with what it says, so.
Yeah, because you can't authorize them to practice before the law kicks in, essentially. So,
Okay. Okay.
okay.
Um,
Next. Mhm.
you're going to go through this whole thing? Is that?
Yes, that was
Okay.
the plan, unless you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so next is with regards to subsection B is a reporting requirement, because if you look at, sorry to jump back and forth so much, but if you look at SB 2050, this is on page 3, section 2. The board is required to submit a report to the legislature in the beginning of 2027, including implementation of the act, patient safety, student participation, and any other recommendations.
How can we do that if it's not even in effect yet?
Yeah,
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I saw that and went, what? They want us to give a report before there's even any students here. So, okay. Is that what the purpose is? Or we're supposed to tell them how we implementing this, what's patient safety? I mean, I don't understand this.
seems to sort of be a status report, so to speak, on the board's progress on how it plans to implement the act, I would imagine.
Okay. So basically, it's the rules, kind of.
That's one part the board could certainly report on, I think.
So they want a separate thing other than the rules to say how we're going to implement it, how our patient's going to be safe. Student participation, I'm not quite sure what that means. And any other recommendations? Okay.
Yes, going back to the rules, subsection B was drafted so that students will basically report to the board that they are participating in this program so that you guys will have some statistics to report to. It also serves as a public safety mechanism, since the student and the chiropractor will basically be attesting that they meet all the requirements, are going to be complying appropriately.
Yeah. Completed
Okay.
all didact coursework.
Oh, sorry. Did I misspell that? I can.
No. Don't ask me about spelling, that's for sure.
Thank you for catching that.
No, I was just wondering. Completed all didactic, right? Didactic.
I will certainly
And
correct
that
that.
just means all the coursework, what does didactic really mean? Rachel probably knows what that means.
It
What is
means
didactic?
it means lecture coursework.
Oh, okay. I figured you would know. Since you're the brain of the board, or one of the brains of the board. Okay. Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay.
There.
Moving on, subsection C captures what you expressed, the desire to have a 5-year minimum qualification.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, my question on that is it 5 years as a chiropractor, a licensed chiropractor anywhere, or is that 5 years just in Hawaii? Or if
So
somebody
that's-
had a practice for 10 years on the mainland, they came over, got their license, could they automatically start right away because they have 10 years of chiropractic clinical
Yeah, I brought
experience?
this up too when I was in a meeting with Chris, and I think that I think it's reasonable for it to be of licensed chiropractic practice anywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree. Yeah.
But I mean, my question is 5 years the right length of time? Is that too long? Is that long enough?
I don't think it's too long. I think it's just right. Because I personally, I didn't feel like I really could handle. I mean, we're all different, right? After 5 years, I felt pretty damn confident I could handle anything that walked in my office. So that's me. I don't know your experience, but I think 5 years is not a bad thing. I mean,
5 years is fine. I could also see situations where shorter is reasonable.
yeah, I
5 years is totally fine.
I think 5 years is a good thing. And the other thing, as long as you're talking about years, I think, or numbers here, and I think it might be in this section. I would like to see a limit put on the number of students any one particular licensee can have as a student.
So I was thinking about that same issue. I think I kind of agree with you, but then I feel like by saying, there's a limit, I feel like it implies that it's actually recommended to be overseeing multiple students, which I think very few people would be doing.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that. You just never know. I mean, what I don't want is somebody, like having a factory of these students coming in. Because if there's no limit, then there's no limit. I mean, the most I ever had at once was 2, and I thought, oh, I don't know if I want to do that again, personally.
Sure.
And if their requirement is to really supervise these people and really do the job correctly, I kind of, I mean, I favor like a limit of 2. I mean, or up to 2, or language that doesn't say you have to have 2, or just up to two per supervising chiropractor. So there's more than one doctor in the clinic. They could have more students if the supervising doctor qualifies.
Part of me is like, why would anyone want to?
I don't know. I don't know.
But
Okay.
I could also see, that what if a class of 5 students all wanted to come to the same clinic together, or
Well, then they can't, because they can't
right. So I
do it
mean, like
on
I'm just saying, is 2 the
probably.
right number? Is 3 the right number? Is 5
Well,
the right number?
they could come if there were 2.5 supervising chiropractors.
You feel like firmly 2 is the right number.
I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I mean, when I did my student internship, there were 2 of us. There was no more than that, and I don't know. And when I did it, I only had 2 under me.
Well, because I could see like a doctor who's supervising students could reasonably supervise maybe 2 student visits happening at the same time. But like where I went to school, each student visit had 2 students in the room. And I realize we're not trying to create a school situation. I'm just saying like it's reasonable if they had 2 students visiting their practice, those 2 students might go in together and see the same patient together.
Sure, that's really up to the supervising chiro, right, for that.
Well, but I mean, so in that case, they theoretically could manage good supervision of 4 students because it's only 2 cases at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you don't know that. I mean,
right. It just makes me wonder if the right number is 4 instead of 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well.
You don't think so?
Well. I kind of favor the 2 thing because I don't know if there's one supervising chiropractor with 4 of them. I mean, wow, that's going to take a lot of his practice if he's going to do the job right, right?
Theoretically, if this is what obviously, if somebody's really just practicing and then they're having a student visit, then they're not going to want to supervise 4 people at a time. But if this is what somebody's choosing to do, they're creating an educational environment. You know what I mean? Like then they might want to have a few more because it's their main focus. Supervising the students is their main focus or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, like if a student came to my practice, I might be overseeing this patient that the student is seeing while I'm also seeing my own patient or whatever.
Right, for sure.
Because I'm not a teacher.
Yeah, I guess I don't know where I'm getting 2 out of, but I think what they sent us, was that Nancy? Oh no, that wasn't. It was Young, I think, sent us something from the psychologist or something. I think the psychology board, and they could have students, and I think they could supervise up to 6 if I remember reading.
Yeah, I recall that as well.
Yeah, and I thought, whoa, that's way too much. I mean, how can you do that? That's a lot. And if all 6 students are there at the same time and they're under one chiro, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. So that's why I kind of came up with 2. But it's a board thing. So if we just come up with what you feel is reasonable, and then we kind of vote on it and do that thing, right? Anybody else? Dr. Ogawa or Jeannie or Teresa? Did you guys go away? Let me see. Where are
No,
you?
I'm still here listening.
Okay. Need your input. Input. What you think there, Doctor? Dr. O?
Well, I don't know.
Deep subject. Speak.
Is there a benefit to the supervising chiropractor? Is that something
Well,
they just do because they're giving back to their fellow
well,
chiropractors?
in the past, I don't know what it is now, but in the past, it wasn't a paid position. But
Right.
over the years, you hear some people that do pay their students or whatever, stuff like that. It's there are students that stay on in the clinic because they like the clinic. So
Oh,
there's there's some clinics out there that might want to market themselves to students so that they can get more chiros in their clinics. That's certainly possible.
What
I
I
don't think
think
that's a bad thing, other than if it becomes a mill of some sort.
Jim, I don't believe that payment is allowed. When I spoke to Palmer about their program, when they go through Palmer, they still pay their tuition, and
Right.
it's part of their
That
10th trimester. And
right.
it has been a while since I looked into all this, but I believe recalling that payment is not included. But
right, certainly the
I could.
student can't get paid.
Yeah,
Right.
But
I think
Oh,
you're
okay.
right.
I misunderstood. Okay, I
Yeah.
misunderstood.
no. I was thinking that if it were, let's just
But
say, so it sounds like if a supervising chiropractor wants to grow his business real fast, he can quickly go and get 4 students and, observe them and teach them and help them. And then hopefully they'll work for him. Someone might do that. So if you had no limit, then they could go and grab 5 people.
Well,
But if you had a,
someone could do that. But I think what's
Mhm.
more concerning and what we're trying to prevent is somebody using the students as free labor, essentially, because the patient is
Right.
still paying for their care, right?
Correct.
Oh,
The
right,
patient's still paying
right.
for their care, their insurance is still being billed. And so we're trying to
Yes.
prevent the doctor making money off of the students being there providing services for free.
Right. So then I could see a limit being put on that would protect that.
Right.
Yeah, to some degree. And you brought up a really good point. Um, if a student, let's say it's can the student see workers' compensation patients? Can they see no-fault patients? Can they see patients that have HMSA?
They
And if you,
absolutely can because the
right, but then how
doctor,
do you bill it? So it's billed under
it's billed
both
under the
names.
licensee.
Okay, is there any information that needs to be shared with them that if the treatment was really
Well,
performed by a student? Is that, I'm
well,
just speaking
certainly
out loud.
if the insurance company requested notes, the notes should reflect that treatment was rendered by so and so under the supervision of, right?
Right,
But the
right.
doctor is still the one that signs that note.
Are they required to sign the note or is just the student?
Absolutely, the licensee has to sign the note.
That's nowhere in these rules. Do we need to put
Well,
that in the rules?
that's standard in the medical profession. If somebody's overseeing the clinical care, whoever the chief overseer of the care is needs to be the one signing the note.
Right. So, but in my experience in reading lots and lots of medical records, yeah, I would say those notes are only signed by probably 50% of the people.
Well, right.
Correct.
But, I mean, there's tons of
Thyroid
clinics that don't
doctors.
sign their notes anyway. But like, if you're professionally liable for the care, then
Right.
you'd be the one signing off on the note. I mean, if you look at the way the schools do it, right? The student writes a note, the student signs the note, and then the doctor who's overseeing them countersigns it.
Right. And hopefully that happens in these scenarios.
Well, I mean,
I'm
what
just
I'm saying is if it doesn't happen like that, then the person
yeah.
who's on the hook for there not being adequate documentation is the licensee.
That's right.
So it's up to the licensee to take, just like it is when they're doing care themselves, it's up to them to keep good documentation. It's up to them to keep good documentation of these visits too.
For sure. Absolutely. Okay.
I mean, it's
Okay.
the same thing with like, for example, I've got a friend in Kona who's got a naturopathic clinic that employs an APRN, and they bill Quest patients under the APRN because the other providers aren't qualified for Quest, right? And so they have patients who see Quest patients, and then it says in the note that it was overseen by this APRN,
Sure.
and then the visit's billed under her.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that people do with licensees of different types.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. That answers my question. Okay, so we still, I don't know, do we need to, so are we in favor of putting some kind of a limit on the number of students? And if so, what do we want to put? Or do we want to throw that into cyberspace for the next time and think about it?
I think we should pick a number.
I absolutely think there should be a limit. Yeah.
Okay. What's your limit?
My limit is 2.
Okay.
I
I agree.
agree.
So we have
Two.
3. I'm sorry, who is that?
I said I agree with 2 and that there should be a limit.
Is that Teresa?
Yes.
I recognize your voice. Okay, so 2. So Teresa's 2. I'm 2. Dr. Ogawa's 2. Jean, sorry. You have you have an opinion?
No, 2 sounds fine. 2 sounds fine.
And Rachel, I'm sorry.
I would think that a clinician could supervise 3. But if everyone else thinks 2, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So we probably need a motion for that one.
Well, I mean, you're ultimately going to be approving the finalized version of the draft, so I can just go ahead and put it in. I'll just put a new subsection after C, basically along the lines of no supervising chiropractor will supervise more than 2 at a time, so that it's basically the limit will be 2.
Okay.
I wanted to circle back though. So just regarding the 5-year requirement, so I take it everyone's in favor of letting people practice in it from 5 years of experience in any jurisdiction. So did you want some clarifying language, say at least 5 years in any state?
Licensed in any other state?
Yeah.
Should we say unencumbered license, or should we say mention something like that? But that would be picked up when they got their license here, right?
I think that it's reasonable to add something like unencumbered, but I also think that we should avoid the word state because what if they were a licensed chiropractor, in another country and we have authorized them to be licensed here because we've looked at the equivalency or whatever. So I think I think we could just say licensed chiropractor. I don't know, we could say state or jurisdiction, but I think that we could just leave it out and that.
Okay, you can just leave it as is then.
Because unless somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't say Hawaii. So
right. I think we could just leave it vague.
Yeah. Sure. Because it doesn't say Hawaii specifically. So
but I do think we should add something about unencumbered or, without disciplinary action or,
Sure.
Maybe.
That's Chris's Cooliana there.
So, well, my question to that though then is, let's say they have an encumbered license or they've been disciplined in the past. Is the board's view that they just shouldn't be eligible to supervise at all?
Well, what if it's like for the past 5 years, right? Like they need a clean license for the last 5 years. If they had something 20 years ago, that's fine.
Okay, so a license that's been unencumbered for 5 years.
And also, if they're going to get a license in Hawaii, we would have looked at them because they would have had to sign yes on their application, and we would look at it anyway for even to get a license to start with, right? So that would protect, but I'm certainly open to unencumbered license, but what does that mean? Does that mean if they, like you said, if they had anything 20 years ago, if they
Right. So
forgot to renew their license and that was their thing, that to me, that's, there's some
I'm
minor
sorry,
things.
which page is this on?
This is page 76-13.
I just want to look at how it's phrased now.
Yeah, we would have to reword it because right now it's sub paragraph C. A supervising chiropractor must have been licensed for at least 5 years in order to be eligible to serve as a supervising chiropractor.
What if we said supervising chiropractor must have been holding an unencumbered license for at least 5 years? We probably want this to be the most recent 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Past 5 years.
must have held an unencumbered license for the past 5 years.
Right.
Yeah, and like I said, we're going to look at this again. We can always scratch or add or whatever too, right?
I also think maybe we need to take out the word supervising in the beginning of the sentence.
Yeah, I was just about to propose that. It's a little redundant.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So it should say a chiropractor must have held an unencumbered license for the past 5 years in order to be eligible to serve as a supervising chiropractor.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep
Now it's
on
up to you, then I'll. So go ahead.
No, you can keep going there, Mr. Chris. Or
Okay.
Dr. Chris, like should be. You guys are doctors of, right? Attorneys at law. Juris
I don't know about
doctor,
that.
you're a juris doctor. They should call you guys doctor too, right?
I don't know if that'd be appropriate. But anyways, so this is subsection D, which will be subsection E when we put in that language about, the no more than 2 students at a time language. But anyways,
Okay.
so this is prior to providing any clinical service, a chiropractic student must provide both oral and written notice to the patient that care will be provided by the student. This comes from the language in SB 2050 on the bottom of page 2. This was the requirement about, because the way the statute is written is that the chiropractic student needs to inform the patient and obtain their written consent.
Right.
It doesn't provide for how the notice will be provided. So this is basically trying to reflect how most offices practice, which is, you give them a form and you explain to them, hey, this form is just giving you notice, so and so.
Well, and if I can say too that this goes with the next one, right, which is currently labeled E, that says the supervising chiropractor shall be responsible for maintaining copies of written consent from the patient as part of the patient's medical records. Like the reason that we put that in there is because it is odd the way it's phrased in the bill. That measure says that the student should be the one to inform them,
Right.
but obviously the supervising chiropractor needs to be involved in that process. And so and since they're the one who could be disciplined for a failure of this, whereas the student really can't, the supervising chiropractor is ultimately responsible, even though the student's the one that's going to do the informing.
Right.
So those 2 points kind of, when we're considering them, go together mentally.
Yeah, I'd want to know before I got in the room. Give them a chance to go, I don't want that. I don't want to see them, right? I mean, but that's going to be that shouldn't be part of this.
Right, that's business model stuff.
Right, exactly. Okay, cool.
The last 2 subsections, F and G, just goes towards, well, the previous sections kind of went to public safety as well, but goes towards record keeping. F just gives the board to audit, and G just imposes penalties and consequences should the supervising chiropractor fail to maintain records. I think the only question for the board is right now, these provisions are written so that it's only with regards to the written consent. Did the board want to broaden the language, or is the board to all records, or is the board just fine with written consent?
mean, I'm actually a little unsure about this section because if we've already stated that they're maintaining it as part of the patient's medical record, then there's already a requirement for maintaining the medical record.
Oh, did you just want to delete it then? F and G?
I don't feel like we need G. I do think we need F. But I do think this is super small, but I think it needs to say the board at its discretion instead of in its discretion.
Okay, sure.
What do you guys think about G?
Dr. Klein, did you get an A in English? You know, you had to have gotten an A in English. You know,
I don't know. I grew up speaking Pidgin.
I'm teasing you. I got a D in English in high school, but hey, I'm way better than I was. Anyway. And do we want to have, other than the written consent, inspect copies of the written, just the written consent, not the records?
I think maybe we should say that patients, oh gosh, I don't know, because there's a HIPAA issue there, right? If the
What do you
board
mean?
wants to inspect medical records.
Why? Why would that be a HIPAA issue?
I don't know. Can we request patient medical records from someone if the patient hasn't made a complaint?
I don't know. That's a legal question.
Right.
I'd have to look into that. That's a very good question. I'd have to look into that though, actually.
Because even inspecting the written consent, like presumably the reason this is in there is so that if the patient made a complaint, we could look into it, right? But
well, okay, here's another thought. They have to submit a letter. Oh wait, what is that language for the letter that they have to submit? Oh, there we go. Student must submit to the board a form or letter. Okay, that wouldn't be the same. I was going to think, well, what if they just send in the consents? Nah, we don't need to do that, do we? Where is that? Is that something that you folks came up with? The F and G?
yeah.
Do you know what other boards do for their students, like the dentists and psychologists and stuff? Anybody know? Do they get copies of their consent form, or do they even have one? Anybody know?
I'm afraid I don't, but I can look into that.
I'm just curious, do we even need, you thinking about taking both out, F and G, Dr. Klein, or just G for sure?
I just feel like G is unnecessary because the board, there are already like part of.
It's all, yeah, it's part of the.
Yeah, it's
right.
already, there's already
They need, right, they have to have the written thing. And if it only limits it to a formal written reprimand, I mean, that's a joke. That's a slap on the hand.
yeah, I already think that the board has the authority to discipline someone for not having adequate records. So,
right, for sure.
So I feel like we just need to clarify F a little better, but we could get rid of G.
I think taking G out is good, because that's already implied. And it limits us too. Other than we're not limited.
So I would say that F should say the board at its discretion shall have the right to inspect copies of the written consent and the patient's medical record. But that, Chris, if you could look into the HIPAA issue with that, how that can be.
Yeah, if that could be an issue. I'll look
Maybe we
into
could
that.
say,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe we could just say the board at its discretion shall have the right to inspect copies of the written consent and medical records with the permission of the patient, or something like that, to get around a HIPAA issue. Because presumably we would only want to do that if the patient's complaining, right?
Yeah, that'll be my guess. That sounds like that would be a good thing. That would work. That would get us off the HIPAA issue. I'd be okay with that for sure.
Okay, I'll look into it.
Okay. You're moving along there, Mr. Chris.
So next up is HAR 16-76-21.1 and .2. This is on the next page, page 76-14. Just a simple stylistic change. I got rid of the .0. You guys aren't going into double digits, say .11, .12. So, and just to make it consistent stylistically with other regulations, I just made it .1 and .2 instead of .01 and .02.
Okie dokie.
Great.
Okay. Let's see, moving on. This is minor, but this is HAR 16-76-41 on page 76-24. Requirements for approved programs. Last time we talked about for paragraph A2, deleting the nonprofit language. So it's now just national or state chiropractic organizations as approved by the board. And I think that was it.
So that means we have to come up with a list. Is that right?
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
And that's all the new changes. Everything else was the same from last time, I believe.
All right. So with the list on just keeping in this vein, would the list approved by the board, would that have to be attached? That would have to be attached to this, wouldn't it? Or no?
No, I think you
Is
guys
that like
can
on the
just,
website or something like that?
yeah, you guys can just upload it on a website.
Oh, okay. So it wouldn't have to be officially in the hearing process. You know what I mean?
You can if you want to, but yeah, I don't
Well,
think you have
less
to.
is more, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's something we can just hash out. I'm okay with that, unless somebody else is not. So does that mean we're done with all the revisions and stuff?
That's all I have for the board today.
Oh, cool. Let's see, where are we? Shucks. Oh, I gotta go way back up. Okay.
So if it's fine with the board, I'll turn around the language. I'll continue to work with Dr. Klein, and hopefully we should have a final version for the board next time.
And the next board meeting is, so we're done with agenda item 6 officially for today?
Yes.
Okay. So next, I'm sorry?
Sorry, our next board meeting, is that June 17th?
That's what it says.
Okay. Sorry, I just want to confirm.
Yeah, it's on, yeah, next board Wednesday, June 17th, PVL exam room 330, wherever the hell that is. I don't think I've ever been in that room. June 17th, about a little over about a month from now. Okay, does anybody have anything else? Are we really done?
Just for the record, if you could just note that there's no public members.
Oh,
so the board's
yeah.
not taking any public testimony.
Yeah, I didn't ask for it. You could say I did. Nah. Just kidding.
We can just note that there was no public
Yeah,
members.
right.
So there was
Yeah,
no
get
need
us
for
off
it.
the hook. Well, if there's nothing else, then it's time to say adieu. A-hoo-wee ho. Is that it?
Thank you, Chair.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, you
Thank-
guys. Thanks for
thank you.
attending, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.